Hi, if you're here, that means you subscribe to my Patreon. This is what your pattern's going to look like. It's free here, and once you print it out, you have to cut it out. That's the first step in making this shirt in this tutorial. We start out by cutting out the first piece, and then we'll continue to cut out the other pieces. Continue to do this along with me with your own piece of paper at home. There's no need to pause the video. Just enjoy the sounds of the music while you cut out your pattern pieces. Okay, all the pattern pieces are cut out. You should have the front piece, the back piece, and the ruffle that goes on top. I also wanted to show you that all of my social medias are on this pattern for you to see, and of course I have a little picture of the final product so you know all the pattern pieces go together. Now it's time to cut out all the pieces onto your fabric of choice. The fabric I chose for this video is some pumpkins. This is the back pattern piece, and we're going to cut 2 out of the fabric. Cut 2 on a pattern means that you will end up with 2 pieces of fabric that are cut into the pattern shape when you are done cutting out your piece. Now fold your fabric in half, good side to good side. There is a wrong side to your fabric and a good side to your fabric, which that just means one side looks like your fabric is turned inside out, while the other looks like it's the proper side. Make sure that the proper sides are facing each other, and set your pattern piece on top of it. Once you're finished with that, start cutting along the edge of your pattern piece. There we go, now it's cut out. Let's remove the pattern piece and see what we have. Now we have the pieces of fabric that are cut out to look just like the pattern piece. These are both on the right side of the fabric. And as mentioned earlier, we have 2 pieces. Now let's move on to the big piece. Make sure that all your fabric is laying out flat with no layers, which means you don't need to fold your fabric to cut out this pattern piece. Also, when cutting out the piece, make sure that you're on the right side of the fabric. Only cut out one piece, like the pattern says, so that this can be the front of your shirt. Alright, the pattern piece is cut out, and as you can see it says cut 1, and now you have one piece that is the same shape as your pattern that you just cut out. As a reminder, this is the front and these two are the back pieces. Now we're going to take the back pieces and put them good side to the front piece. Now we're going to take these pieces to the sewing machine and I'm going to show you how to sew them. First you set the pieces under your presser foot, then set the presser foot down. Then with your foot, you press the pedal underneath your foot and start to sew. All of the seam allowances that I use in this video is 1/8 of an inch. And of course, remember to backstitch when you're finished. Here's a close-up of what a backstitch looks like. Now that the sides of your project are put together, we're going to hem the armholes of your project. To do this, pull down your fabric 1/8 of an inch and pin it in place. Continue to do this until everything is pinned. And a friendly reminder, there is no need to pause the video, just keep pinning along with me. Pin the other side the same way you did the first. There we go. Here's what everything looks like all pinned. Now we're going to take our machine and sew along the edges here and the other side. Keep sewing along the edge. And when you reach here, make sure that you raise your presser foot a little bit so that you can make the turn. I know that I don't do that here. I've learned to squish the fabric along as I sew. Pushing the fabric along is okay, but lifting the presser foot makes for a more clean edge. Because I forgot to lift my presser foot, I ended up having to undo this seam anyway. So always remember to lift your presser foot when making turns. Now it's time to cut out the ruffle pattern. I'm going to remove this excess fabric, and then I'll show you what cut on the fold means. See, in the corner here it says cut unfold, and when you unfold your fabric, it's a longer piece. The reason that most patterns say cut unfold is because that most of the time when you have the paper, it doesn't have enough room to put the whole length. So they put cut unfold so that you'll have enough room to make the entire length. Okay, now back to the shirt. We're going to add that ruffle onto the top of the shirt here. Make sure that the wrong side is facing towards the shirt and the right side is facing towards you. Now lay it on top of the shirt and get ready to pin it in place. We're going to take the pins and put it into the project. Mimic what I'm doing with the pins with your project. We're going to take the ruffle piece and pin them to both of the back panels first. The back panels are the two sides that are going to close on the back of the doll. You will see why this is important in just a moment. Now it's time to pin the middle. Find the center of your ruffle, which will be the fold and the crease that we had earlier. I know we didn't iron it, but there will be a perforated crease in your fabric because you folded it in half to cut it out. Here's how everything should look when you're finished pinning. Here's the first back panel and the middle and the back panel. Now that we're finished pinning, it's time to sew it on the sewing machine. Start by sewing using 1/8 of an inch seam allowance on the back panel first. Then move on and do the same thing for the front panel. Now do the same thing one last time for the final back panel. This is how everything should look once it's all sewn. Now we're going to bring in the fabric towards the inside of the garment to create the casing for the elastic. Pin everything with 1/8 of an inch seam allowance in mind. The casing should be 1/8 of an inch thick so that it will hold the 1/8 of an inch elastic that we're going to be using later. This will help the elastic stay still inside the casing and not roll around, causing the shirt to look off. This is what it looks like when everything's pinned. Let's take it to the machine and sew along the edge here. Sew along the edge of your casing as neatly as possible. Here's what the casing should look like when it is fully sewn. Now that we're done making the casing, it's time to hem the ruffle. But of course, before we get sewing, we always have to pin down our project so that everything will stay together. Here's what it should look like when everything is pinned. We're going to sew along the 1/8 of an inch seam allowance so it will stay in place. Sew along the edge as straight as possible. Now that the ruffle is hemmed, it's time to get out the elastic. I decided to make the piece of elastic 8 inches long so that we would have plenty of room so it won't slip out of the needle we're going to be using. And yes, I did say we're going to use a needle. You're going to take your elastic as if you had a piece of thread and push it through your wide-eyed needle. Make sure you have a lot of excess elastic hanging from your needle so that it won't come slipping out when you're trying to scooch it through the casing. The reason I use a needle instead of a safety pin is because a needle is much smaller and can fit into any size casing that you make. You have to adjust your casing to the size of your safety pin, which would result the casing being too large for the elastic, which would also make the elastic roll around, as I mentioned earlier. With a needle, it can be any size and it will go through every time. Just keep pushing your needle through the casing until you reach the other side. Now we got the needle all the way to the other side. I like to use a pair of pliers. Well, this isn't particularly a pair of pliers, it's a button snap pair of pliers or something like that. I'm not sure the technical name, but I like how you can stick your needle into the hole of the pliers and then pull on it, and then it really helps get the needle all the way out because you overlapped your elastic and sometimes it gets stuck near the end. What's nice about this shirt is that you don't have to readjust the gathering of your elastic. This is perfect just the way it is. It's sprung just the right size. Now it's time to pin everything in place so that it doesn't get loose or anything like that. Now that we have that pinned in place, the elastic can't move around and it will stay in its sponged state. Now it's time to move on and pull in the sides and the bottom and pin everything in place, which the seam allowance is still 1/8 of an inch. And once you pin it all in place, we can take it to the machine and start to sew. That's what everything should look like once you're done pinning. Now it's time to sew around it. Start at one end of your project and sew all the way around until you reach the other side. And as I said earlier, don't forget to raise your presser foot to make turns. Now that everything is sewn securely in place, you can cut off your extra bits of elastic because that was to help the elastic not sponge away when you are sewing. And I just call it sponge away because it's just kind of bungee and it will badoing itself back into the project and then you have to fish it back out. Alright, everything's cleaned up. Now it's time to get the Velcro. Here's our strip of Velcro. I'm using black so that you guys can see it better. I also used white thread in this video so that you guys could see it as well. When putting Velcro onto a project, don't forget to put one on top and one on the bottom. When pinning the Velcro to the project, mimic what I am doing here. This is what it should look like when the Velcro is secure. Now let's take it to the machine and sew around it. So now that you're done sewing, cut off any extra loose strings that are left over from sewing. And look how fabulous that turned out. You deserve a big round of applause. Thank you so much for joining my Patreon and learning how to sew with me. I can't wait until our next time together. See you later. Bye.